Before the backrooms, before online forums, before the internet, before television, someone was quietly observing his surroundings. At a time when the world around him was rapidly changing, he was recording everyday scenes, committing the normal lives of normal people to canvas. These paintings, these masterful vignettes from American life, offer an unparalleled glimpse into a liminal world inhabited by pensive figures and striking landscapes, unaware or unbothered by their observer. Edward Hopper is without doubt one of the most important American artists of the 20th century. A realist painter whose introspective work continues to resonate and echo well into the 21st. He witnessed the end of the 19th century and the dawn of the modern urban environment, experienced the emergence of the mechanized society in which we all today live, and recognized the beauty in the simple rhythm of the everyday. His painting epitomizes a quality we've come to know today as liminality. Half-lit theatres, offices, anonymous buildings inhabited by lone figures, faceless cities which we can only glimpse through a window, blinding afternoon sun and deep, morose night, empty gas stations and quiet railroads, the comfortable isolation of urban life and the dreamlike landscapes that lie beyond. Today, I'd like to guide you into the intoxicating world of Edward Hopper's art and the liminal spaces that await you within. Born in 1882, Edward Hopper spent most of his life in New York City, taking annual summer trips to Cape Cod. Much of his work deals with the tension between man and nature, progress and tradition, and interpersonal relationships, captured through the lens of life in America from approximately the 1920s to the 1960s. His paintings are welcoming yet uneasy, inviting yet unafraid of depicting the world as it is. Unlike contemporaries such as Norman Rockwell, who painted idealized depictions of the American experience, Hopper captured the reality of life for the proverbial everyman. As I explored in my Liminal Space and Childhood video, liminal spaces are all around us. We just don't often stop to observe them. Hopper was perhaps the first artist to observe these spaces, the first to bring attention to the empty stairwell or the sun-bathed roof, draped with afternoon shadows. I was fascinated by Hopper before the emergence of the term liminal space. The documentary America on a Plate, The Story of the Diner from 2011 dedicated a substantial amount of runtime to the famous Nighthawks diner from Hopper's most well-recognised and beloved work.
Trying to find this diner.
I have no idea.
It was painted by Edward Hopper. It's called Nighthawks. Does it look like any joint you know?
It.
I remember seeing the documentary on TV when it first aired, and being entranced by the image. Even if you're not familiar with Hopper, I can almost guarantee you've seen this painting, or one of its many parodies. His images always stirred something inside of me, even as a child. A feeling which I recognised again when I encountered the internet phenomenon of liminality years later. Of course, I don't by any means seek to reduce Hopper's work to a mere internet trend. His mastery goes far beyond the idea of liminal spaces. I do, however, find it fascinating that he managed to consistently capture a liminal atmosphere in his work over half a century before that comfortably unsettling feeling even had a name. Liminal spaces have always been with us. The internet just allowed us to share our experiences of them. Nighthawks is a great place to start when talking about the atmosphere Hopper created in his work. If we define a liminal space as a transitional space, the Nighthawks diner is perhaps the ultimate example. Three figures sit sheltering from the night, while a fourth works behind the counter. The cold light spills out from the windows, casting short shadows. These people are in limbo, temporarily seeking refuge from whatever is happening in their lives. Even the man behind the counter is only there to do his job, likely counting the hours until he can return home. Although together in the same space, these people are in perfect isolation, each with their own worries. They could be anyone, and no one. The interior of the diner is framed by masterful use of lighting and negative space. The darkened windows of the stores on the other side of the street, the half-drawn blinds above, the road curving out of sight, all surrounding this small island of light, alone in a vast concrete sea. Many of Hopper's works take place at night, the darkness obscuring the world outside. Automat evokes a strong liminal sensation, as does Office at Night. The use of artificial lighting really drives home the urban setting of these works, although we rarely directly see the main light source. Rooms for Tourists is one of my favourite Hopper landscapes. The image evokes so much mystery, while at the same time being incredibly literal. Devoid of any human figures, instead we see only the traces of humanity. Light and subsequent shadow play such a huge role in creating the atmosphere of this piece, and yet we're never shown its origin. The time of day is a huge contributing factor to both Hopper's work and to liminal photography. Early Sunday morning is so perfect in its liminality that it's almost astonishing that it wasn't created with the idea in mind. Or perhaps it was, and Hopper just recognised that same sensation and knew that it must be committed to canvas. High noon possesses an almost otherworldly quality, the blaring sun illuminating a white house, which appears to be in the absolute middle of nowhere. Hopper was a master of leaving us limited context and information in his paintings, allowing us to ascribe our own meaning. Even in a work with such intense, direct lighting, he still allows darkness to creep into the one glimpse of background he allows us to see. The feeling I get from this painting is not dissimilar to those liminal weirdcore edits of houses on top of impossibly steep hills. Gas depicts a strangely comforting scene, the dusk settling over the lone figure and his place of work. The sheer beauty that Hopper could find within the everyday never ceases to amaze me. Such a simple scene, and yet so wonderfully atmospheric. We can neither see into the building or know what awaits us in the forest. The transitional nature of the time of day, and feeling that this place is the last stop before venturing into the wilderness, are oddly cozy, and yet somehow threatening, creating a perfect liminal balance between what is and what will be. Many of Hopper's landscapes are almost totally, if not totally devoid of people, and this is where we can see an even greater parallel between the world of Hopper and modern liminal photography. I find these works absolutely enchanting. They somehow are among the greatest examples of realism ever created, and yet they also possess an otherworldly, dreamlike quality. Perhaps because these everyday places blur by so quickly in our lives, and we rarely stop to observe them, imbuing them with a familiar, yet alien character. Route 6, Eastham, suggests an early morning start for a road trip, long before other vehicles have begun their commute. A personal favourite, Approaching a City, suggests to me a sense of despair, as if you were to be swallowed up by the darkness creeping out from under the railway bridge. Its plainness is deceiving, drawing you in before delivering its true liminal message, a message which is as much relevant today as it was when the painting was created. 7 AM depicts a storefront on the edge of town, the brilliant white of human settlement contrasting the wilds that lie just beyond. At first, the painting gives a sense of hope for the coming day. But as it is more closely studied, we realise that this store may never open. Empty shelves, a few scattered bottles, a darkened, empty interior with blinds half drawn, obscuring our view. The foreboding nature of the path leading out of town, and the blackness beneath the canopy of trees. Some of Hopper's most liminal works came late in his career. In 1951, he painted Rooms by the Sea, inspired by the view from his Cape Cod studio. The ocean laps up to the open back door of a house, through which warm light pours and illuminates a white wall. We see the horizon and open ocean on the right side of the image, contrasted by the room on the left. A perfect example of Hopper's fascination with opposing man and nature. Office in a Small City from 1953 beautifully captures the isolation of urban life. The man sits alone in his office, separated by characterless concrete walls and glass from the rest of the world. 1957's Western Motel frames the great American West behind glass, and instead places the subject inside a drab, familiar motel room. The traveller has ventured out from the city, but still finds themselves in a space dominated by human design. And so, we arrive at Hopper's most liminal work. One of his final paintings, Sun in an Empty Room, from 1963. I'm not sure there's much I can say about this one that can't be conveyed by simply enjoying the painting. The culmination of a career dedicated to elevating the unremarkable. The beautiful simplicity, the masterful execution. Edward Hopper passed away in 1967, leaving behind a wealth of commentary on the everyday world he experienced. An everyday world which continues to be documented by liminal photographers. May the grandfather of liminal spaces rest in peace. If you're still watching, I'd like to offer my sincere thanks for staying with me until the end of this video. There are lots more of Hopper's works for you to enjoy and explore online, and if you're in the US, you can go and see many of them in person. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and letting me know your thoughts in the comments. If you're feeling extra generous, you could subscribe and watch some of my other videos. I certainly have enjoyed researching and creating this video.